show you 87 pounds overweight.
On this episode of Old Joe's Reminiscence, when an 11-year-old boy sneaks aboard a rocket headed for the moon, he nearly dooms the mission. Stowaway to the Moon is a made-for-TV movie that I wouldn't have thought to watch and review. It wasn't even close to being on my radar. It just showed up as a watch suggestion. It's not as highly rated as The Reluctant Astronaut, which I've already covered, and it's tied with the 1986 box office disaster Space Camp. So now I have to wonder, what sort of a can of worms am I about to open here? Stowaway to the Moon is a film based on a 1973 William Roy Shelton novel of the same name. It originally aired at 8 p.m. on Friday, January 10, 1975, on CBS television stations. It was billed as a 2-hour dramatic special. I may not have seen it if my mom was watching her usual Friday night show, Kolchak, The Night Stalker, which aired on ABC at 8 p.m. She rarely missed an episode of the thriller. I never really got into The Night Stalker, but I loved $6 Million Man, which aired right after it at 9 o'clock. So to be honest, I simply don't remember watching Stowaway to the Moon. And now comes the big question. Have you seen it? If not, you can pause this review and watch it. Otherwise, just sit back while I blast off with the 1975 TV movie Stowaway to the Moon. The film opens with an exterior shot of a rather nondescript building that's supposed to be the Kennedy Space Center's Welcome Center. With a rocket visible in the background, it may very well be the real thing, since some location shots were filmed at the Space Center. People are filing out as a PA announcement tells them it's closing time. The voice adds that there will be no more bus tours until after the completion of the following week's Camelot moonshot.
No more bus tours until...
The last one out is an unaccompanied youngster. Seeing that had me wondering if it was free to visit the Welcome Center. It would have cost $5 back in 1975, but only half that if he's under 12. Compared to today, when a visit will set you back $77, with a $10 discount for kids under 12. Of course, there's so much more to see while you're there now. They recommend the 2-day pass for an additional $14. Anyway, they lock up and a child appears behind them. He reminds a man in a suit that he'd promised something or other. They walk off screen. If this kid is as annoying as I anticipate he's going to be, I might have to shut this down. That kid is Eli Mackernut Jr., or EJ, played by child actor Michael Link. Michael is best known for playing Earl J. Wagadorn, the downstairs neighbor and friend of young Corey Baker in 85 episodes of NBC Television's groundbreaking series, Julia. Now that I did watch. Outside, that last kid out walks to the door to peer back inside. He's EJ's friend Joey Williams, played by child actor Stephen Rogers. He appeared in 4 TV movies and a miniseries before disappearing from the small screen in 1983. That man takes the kid named EJ to let him sit inside a space capsule for 5 minutes.
Astronaut E.J. Mackernut Jr. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, why not?
We cut to a night shot. It's T-minus 10 hours and counting until the Camelot moonshot. With the help of his friend Joey, EJ climbs through a floor grate at NASA.
You are nuts! I've got to try, Joey. You've come this far. and I've just got to try it. Okay. But just remember, I warned you, Isla. Just remember, I didn't let you down. Thanks, Joey.
A minute later, it's still T-minus 10 hours. Shouldn't it be T-minus 9 hours 59 minutes? Do they actually announce the countdown every minute when they're that far out? EJ, wearing an orange hard hat and a fake ID, just casually walks in. He's carrying what looks to be a toolbox. He starts to climb the gantry, and at one point he slips. A man sees him. Uh-oh.
You all right down there?
I'm okay.
I don't know if I can continue watching this. It's that bad. I've walked away from it twice now, and I'm not even 5 minutes in. EJ notices a security camera, and rather than hide, he just turns around and walks away from it.
Hey, who's that? Zoom it up, will you? It looks like O'Brien.
O'Brien must be awfully small. EJ lucks out at every turn where he should be discovered. He comes to a restricted area where a blue badge is required. EJ's badge is green. He continues on anyway. He's at the gangway to the capsule. He hesitates when he notices a security camera. It's conveniently half covered by a tarp, so EJ simply flips the tarp the rest of the way over to cover that camera. He's about to enter the capsule area when he sees another security camera slowly arcing toward him. Uh-oh. He retreats back across the gangway, where he hides in an emergency safety locker. He checks the time on his Mickey Mouse watch.
Almost there, Joey. Almost there.
A couple of men come off the elevator, and one of them notices that the emergency safety locker door is ajar. He shuts it, and I'd have thought it would have been difficult to open, but in the morning, Hans notices a hard hat covering a camera. So I guess that means EJ got out of the locker all right. Now you'd think they would have sent someone up to check when not one, but 2 security cameras went out overnight. The astronauts go over the weather forecast while they're being strapped in. There's less than a 50-50 chance of an on-time launch. And flight control breaks in with some more bad news.
Got a little problem.
What's on your mind?
The computers show you 87 pounds overweight.
Now, from what I've read, they wouldn't have been able to determine such a minor weight discrepancy while the behemoth Saturn V sat on the launch pad. And what about the technician who's leaning against the hatch? We cut to a bespectacled geek-looking guy in a suit who's heading to his car as it begins to rain. He finds a note on his instrument panel, and his reaction after reading it is priceless. He grabs his wife by her wrist, pulls her to the car, shoves her in, and he lays rubber in the driveway. He's EJ's father, Eli Mackernut Sr., played by Edward Faulkner, who I just read died last month.
Edward Faulkner was born Fielden Edward Faulkner II on Leap Day, February 29, 1932. As a preteen, he would do magic tricks for friends, and in high school he formed a stage act with a fellow student. It was also in high school where he met the love of his life, Barbara Baldwin. The two were cast as Emily and George in their senior class play, Our Town. They continued acting together at the University of Kentucky, and they were married after they graduated in 1954. Ed spent 2 years in the Air Force and came home to find his father's business in shambles. It was then that Ed decided to give Hollywood a try. He started out on television westerns, and he appeared in numerous films with John Wayne. His wife only appeared in 2 films, but Ed continued on-screen work until the mid-1970s. Barbara died in 2013, and Edward died on August 26 of this year.
His real wife, Barbara, is playing EJ's mom. On the launch pad, they don't understand how they could be overweight. They ask to speak to the flight director, Charlie Englehart, in Houston. He's played by Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges Jr. was born on January 15, 1913 in San Leandro, California. He grew up in Northern California and graduated from Petaluma High School. Lloyd Sr. had wanted his son to become a lawyer, but Jr. got the acting bug while attending UCLA as a poli-sci major. He was cast opposite Dorothy Simpson in a romantic play called March Hares. The two later became husband and wife. He played some small uncredited roles in a few films in 1936, before heading to New York, performing on and off Broadway. In 1940 Bridges signed a contract with Columbia Pictures, where he did a lot of B pictures, including a Three Stooges short. Bridges served in the Coast Guard during World War II, and he remained a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary after the war. He got his first lead role in a 1945 Universal Pictures serial, Secret Agent X9. Lloyd was suspected of having communist ties by the House Un-American Activities Committee, and he was blacklisted for a while. On television, Lloyd is probably best known for his portrayal of underwater investigator Mike Nelson on Sea Hunt. Gene Roddenberry offered Lloyd the lead when he was planning his Star Trek pilot, but Bridges wasn't interested in science fiction. The serious dramatic actor was cast against type when he played Steve McCroskey in the 1980 disaster film spoof, Airplane. He continued working on screen until his death at the age of 85 on March 10, 1998.
I guess he picked the wrong week to quit. Oops, wrong movie. Sorry. They agree that the crew should go through all their consumables again. It's just under an hour until their scheduled launch time. Meanwhile, Eli Mackernut Sr. drives around the line at the gate to tell an incredulous guard that EJ is aboard the Camelot. Back on board, they've checked everything except the garbage compartment. The astronauts argue that there wouldn't be anything in there before takeoff, but that's exactly where EJ is hiding. They're just about to open that compartment when one of the astronauts suggests that the rain is the source of their extra weight. Yeah, that's it, the rain.
Charlie!
Yeah.
We've got it. It's the rain, Charlie. All that water collecting on the rocket. It's flowing down over the LOX tanks and freezing. We just got 87 pounds of ice.
But NASA had already accounted for the rain, so that's obviously not it. Meanwhile, Eli Mackernut Sr. practically runs over a guard at the gate. Back in the capsule, they still haven't found EJ. That astronaut is once again about to open the garbage bin when Charlie Engelhart tells them to prepare for launch. Eli Mackernut Sr. busts through, drives up right next to the gallery, and he's confronted by yet another security guard. Hearing the commotion, two NASA suits run over to see what's going on. And for the second time, Eli Mackernut Sr. begins by introducing himself as a teacher, yada yada yada. I think I'd have led with the fact that my son might be aboard the Camelot. But I guess it's just part of his pedantic nature, like when he corrects his wife for calling the Camelot spaceship a rocket. Oh no. He does eventually get around to the subject of his stowaway son.
Our son is aboard the spaceship. You have a stowaway.
The crew is given the go for launch, and it's T-minus 17 seconds. It's too late to stop it now. The Mackernuts watch, calmly I might add, as the countdown passes 8 seconds, and the Camelot lifts off right on schedule. I'd at least think Mrs. Mackernut would be jumping and shouting and screaming and going crazy. They show EJ calmly sitting in the garbage bin during the liftoff. Don Knotts' performance in The Reluctant Astronaut was a bit more realistic, if you ask me. Many experts say the kid would have suffered the bends when the cabin pressure dropped after liftoff. That's assuming he hadn't already suffocated from the lack of oxygen. But we're just going to go with it. Back on the ground, a man suggests that Mr. Mackernut's been a victim of a practical joke.
No one plays practical jokes on me.
Go home, Mr. Mackernut.
Come on, Eli, maybe he's right. I want to go home and see.
Meanwhile, the mission is going according to plan. Mr. and Mrs. Mackernut are shown watching the coverage with EJ's friend Joey, and are those his parents? Now this isn't explained, and it raises many questions. Do the Mackernuts not have a television of their own? Did Joey tell them the truth about EJ sneaking into the launch site? Why are there so many people that are uncredited throughout this film? Aboard Camelot, when civilian astronaut Ben Pelham has to use the facilities, he opens the waste cabinet where he discovers their stowaway. Ben Pelham was played by James McMullen.
James Patrick McMullen Jr. was born on Long Island, New York on October 13, 1936. He liked building things, so he studied industrial design and architecture during his college years. A girlfriend talked him into playing the lead in a stage production while attending the University of Kansas. While in Hollywood visiting a friend, a chance meeting got him a screen test, and a 7-year contract at Universal Pictures. That led to a 40-year career of guest appearances in motion pictures, and on television. Jim retired from acting in the year 2000, and he died at the age of 82 on May 31, 2019.
Pelham signals the captain to cut their audio feed.
That 87 pounds overweight we had at liftoff?
Yeah.
Camelot, this is Houston.
I found it.
Camelot, will you come in, please?
It's alive.
Captain Rick Lawrence is played by Jeremy Slate.
Actor Jeremy Slate was born Robert Parham on February 17, 1926 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He attended a military academy, and he joined the U.S. Navy when he was 16 years old. He was barely 18 when his destroyer bombarded Omaha Beach on D-Day, the 6th of June, 1944. After the war, he excelled at St. Lawrence University in Canton, New York. He was the student body president, an honor society member, edited a college magazine, played football, and was a campus radio personality. After graduating, Jeremy worked as a sports announcer and disc jockey for several major network-affiliated radio stations. He spent some time in Lima, Peru with the Gray Steamship Lines, and he joined a theater production while he was there. When he returned to New York, he had his sights set on Broadway, where he was just as successful. Hollywood called, and he appeared in North by Northwest in the TV series Bat Masterson in 1959, and he continued acting into the 1990s. Jeremy Slate died on November 19, 2006 at the age of 80.
With their audio cut off, Houston is going crazy trying to reach Camelot. Captain Lawrence tells astronaut Dave Anderson to talk to them and stall. Dave Anderson is played by Morgan Paul.
Morgan Paul was born on December 15, 1944 in Wheeling, West Virginia. After appearing in several high school play presentations, Morgan aspired to study acting at Boston University, but his father refused to allow it. Morgan left home to join the Barter Theater in Abington, Virginia, which led to appearances on and off Broadway. He ended up in Los Angeles where he was noticed by a producer and a director who thought he'd fit into their cast for the 1970 film Patton. He was active in the industry more than 25 years, with his final film role playing a mayor in the 1996 film Uncle Sam. Morgan Paul died on July 17, 2012 at the age of 67.
Houston is concerned about Rick's heart
They're
rate.
reading an accelerated heart rate on you. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Here goes the mission.
Dave says there are 18 reasons to abort a landing on the moon, and there's no mention of a stowaway.
Well, some things just can't be anticipated, even in the rule book. We've got to abort.
Rick calls Charlie on a private line. Can they do that from space? I mean, it's radio. Maybe it's a scrambled transmission. Charlie puts Dr. Jack Smathers on the line. He's played by James Callahan. Since Capcom is their primary mission contact, Whitehead, played by Walter Brooke, is also on the line.
Walter Brooke was born Gustav William Tweer Jr. in New York City on October 13, 1914. He spent 5 years in Germany as a schoolboy until his parents brought him back to New York City in the mid-1920s. At 16 years of age, a wrong turn in a high school corridor put him in a classroom where a drama class was taught. He signed up. After graduation, he became an usher at the World Theatre by day, and he appeared on stage at the Davenport at night. He got a walk-on part and he served as an understudy for Shakespeare's Hamlet at the renowned Empire Theatre. He spent some time in Hollywood under contract with Warner Brothers, but they let him go after he'd played about a dozen parts. He got the lead in The Barber Had Two Sons on Broadway, after which he went back to Hollywood as a dialogue director for MGM. In World War II, he was a German interpreter with the 776th Field Artillery Battalion, earning a Purple Heart during the Battle of the Bulge. He came back to the US and he picked back up on stage, until some television executives spotted him and wooed him to the small screen. He married radio star Elizabeth Ragg in 1951. They made their home in New Jersey until most of the TV industry shifted to the West Coast. Walter Brooke made more than 200 screen appearances over a period of 45 years before his death at the age of 71 on August 20, 1968.
Rick tells them about their stowaway, EJ.
Charlie, we've got a stowaway.
What? What'd he say? What'd he say?
Captain Lawrence starts to describe EJ, and as he does so, he slips into an accent that I thought sounded like New England. It comes and it goes. It couldn't be a native accent because Jeremy Slate is originally from Atlantic City, and he lived in New York and California, not New England. Charlie Englehart asks to speak to the boy. The captain puts his headset on EJ, then Charlie makes small talk before getting the boy's name and phone number. Then Rick gets back on. He gets some bad news. They're going to loop around the moon without descending, kind of like Apollo 13 did in 1970. When asked how he got aboard, EJ goes into a narrative about not having enough money for their scale model, adding that his dad was a jerk. Then, through a flashback, we visit Mr. Averill, played by John Carradine.
John Carradine, known as the Master of Horror, is considered by some to be one of the greatest character actors in American cinema. He was born Richmond Reed Carradine on February 5, 1906 in New York City. He had a rough life after his father died when the boy was just 2 years old. His stepfather was abusive, so the youngster ran away from home to live with an uncle. He decided to become an actor after seeing a stage performance of Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. He made his stage debut in a New Orleans Shakespeare Company's production of Camille in 1925, when he was 19 years old. He made his way to Los Angeles, where he was working under the stage name Peter Richmond, in honor of his uncle. Cecil B. DeMille heard Richmond's voice and hired him to do voiceovers for his production company. He went uncredited until around 1930, and by 1933 he was being credited as John Peter Richmond. He started using the name John Carradine in 1935, and he changed it legally in 1937. John Carradine continued to act on stage, while he racked up hundreds of film and television appearances and voiceovers from 1930 to 1995. A few of those film appearances were posthumous, as John Carradine had died at the age of 82 on November 27, 1988.
He helps the kids earn money, somehow, involving blue crabs. EJ's narrative is cut short by a call from Houston to proceed with transposition and docking. To explain that procedure, astronaut Charles Pete Conrad Jr. appears as himself. He's acting as a television commentator. He's no Walter Cronkite, but I guess it was easier to film a television commentator explaining that maneuver than to film it as special effects. Then the kid recaps what just happened, in case we missed it on the previous TV explanation. Now that was sappy enough, but the captain insists that the kid pick up his story about getting crabs. He recounted borrowing a fishing boat and how he got the idea to stow away. The hard hat was from Joey's dad's closet.
And I made the identification badge.
What'd you take the toolbox for?
Well, so I could look like a pad worker and also for good luck.
For good luck, a toolbox?
Well, yeah, like your baseball cap.
Yeah, go on.
Come on, guys, don't encourage the kid. As EJ continues his narrative, Ben Pelham brings up his accomplice.
You mean there's another one like you down in some tunnel?
Oh, sure, but Joey got back all right.
Well, what makes you so sure he did?
We cut to Houston. Charlie Englehart has an expert team assembled, apparently so he can tell even more people about the secret, something that nobody is supposed to know about until the press conference that night.
Do you realize that this whole project could go down the drain? The whole world could be laughing at us if we don't handle this properly. I haven't even contacted his parents for fear of a leak.
He reiterates the importance that nobody must know.
Charlie, they know.
Well, that's shocking news. Tom Estes delivered the bad news, and he's played by Keene Curtis.
Keene Curtis was born on February 15, 1923 in Salt Lake City. Starting out in theater, Keene was discovered by Orson Welles, who cast him as Lennox in his 1948 motion picture Macbeth. Keene went back to the theater and spent years as a stage manager. He went back to Hollywood in 1970, playing both film and television roles. He performed numerous voiceover roles in addition to appearing in front of the camera. He appeared in 12 episodes of The Magician in 1973. He appeared in 15 episodes of Cheers. Keene Curtis died on October 13, 2002 in Utah.
I'd recognized the Strange New Worlds co-star when I noticed him behind Lloyd Bridges in some of the earlier scenes. Estes turns on a small black and white monitor just in time to see the Mackernuts holding a press conference.
We tried to tell the people at NASA our son was on board. We tried to tell the guard at the gate. We reported Eli's presence to the NASA people in the press gallery. But nobody believed us.
Charlie Englehart relays the news to Camelot.
The news is leaked. It's all over the networks. Tomorrow it'll be in every morning paper from Oshkosh to Moscow. Your little passenger has turned $90 million worth of blood, sweat, and science into a great big joke.
Some people believe that the moon missions were all faked. Apparently, everybody at NASA has kept the secret for 55 years. Yeah, right. While the others are asleep, EJ suggests to Ben that there's no reason to abort the landing. Captain Rick wakes up in time to hear part of their conversation, and he asks the kid how he knows so much. It's because he's a typical 70s TV brainiac who's a know-it-all. That's why. They get a call from Tom Estes. A senator has demanded a formal congressional investigation. And there's a scientist who wants the mission to continue as planned. And the president has left the go, no-go decision up to Charlie Englehart.
Where is the flight director?
Fast asleep, finally. Oh,
They discuss an upcoming TV broadcast. Meanwhile, Ben is sharing rations with the stowaway. The captain throws a switch to provide some dinner music. I thought they brought portable tape recorders along. Captain Rick calls the others over for a quick private discussion. I figured he was going to warn against giving the kid all their food, but whatever he said was so private that he whispers it, so we couldn't hear him. One of them says that Charlie will blow his top. Then they call EJ over. It comes time for the TV broadcast, but they're ready. The Mackernut and Williams families are together again, watching the TV. Captain Rick Lawrence introduces EJ to the world on live television. EJ apologizes for his stupid stunt, and he asks if his friend Joey made it home okay. It's funny seeing the scenes of 1970s people, watching from schools, in streets, across from Woolworths. His mom is concerned about why he's not wearing his glasses. I guess the astronauts figured he'd look better on television without them. He lobbies for the moon landing to go ahead, and after the broadcast, everyone at NASA applauds. As Charlie Englehart addresses the room, Whitehead answers a red phone on the desk. Charlie says that no amount of pressure will change his decision. Whitehead hands the receiver to Charlie.
Yes, Mr. President.
Whitehead calls to give the guys a news update. The press has changed its mind about the kid.
Yesterday they referred to him as a stowaway, and today he's the 4th astronaut.
Charlie interrupts the news update. He's been hearing it from all sides. He tells them they're a go for the moon landing.
Yes, sir. I said go. You have a go on descent. Once you land.
They're looking out of a portal, admiring the moon. The Brainiac starts naming the features of the moon's surface that he recognizes, and I'm thinking, could someone just shove him out an airlock? The captain points out their landing target, and Ben reacts.
You all right?
Yeah, why?
Foreshadowing? They're coming up on LOS, or as the captain explains, loss of signal, as they go around to the dark side of the moon, the side facing away from the Earth. With all the other stuff he knows, EJ should have known that.
For how long? Well, till we come around the other side. Now, if that LOI burn is good, that'll take 33 minutes more.
Or 2,160 miles.
Back in Houston, the president calls on the hotline once again.
Mr. President?
Charlie explains loss of signal and acquisition of signal to the president. At the prescribed time, they resume normal communications, and Camelot confirms a successful burn. They're now in lunar orbit. They do a slide cut to denote time passing. Captain Lawrence says it's about time EJ starts paying his way. He assigns vacuuming duties. I guess I'll never get the reluctant astronaut out of my head, because I was just imagining all the problems he could create with that vacuum. Later, Captain Lawrence and Dave Anderson are asleep. EJ's dozing, too. Dan Pelham is out of his chair, and it sounds as if he's vomiting. Ooh, yep, called it. They keep the astronauts in a sterile, isolated environment before launch. Could EJ have brought a virus aboard? Captain Rick slips back into that odd accent as he reports in.
This is Camelot.
Come in, Camelot.
We've had a good look at our approach. We are go from here.
Go for undocking.
Roger, Houston. Pressure up for Little Dipper.
Later, as the captain transfers to the lunar excursion module, Dan seems to get cramps. They have separation, and the LEM is on its way to the moon's surface. They encounter some communications interference because, of course they do.
I've lost them.
It seems they may have missed their extremely important landing site. Oh darn. They're lost, which means it might be difficult for them to rendezvous with the command module. Meanwhile, Ben is getting worse. He eventually passes out.
Mr. Pelham!
The doctor has EJ put Ben's helmet and gloves on him to give him more pure oxygen. They're coming up on another loss of signal, and Charlie takes his sweet old time explaining things to EJ. He's just about to tell the kids something extremely vital when they do lose signal. I guess he picked the wrong week to... oh, you know. Ben starts doing all the things that Charlie said were important. It's up to EJ to save the day on his own now. He looks around and he sees the vacuum. He uses it to clean up Ben's vomit. Now, I've been told that nothing happens at random in a film, so that explains why the captain had the boy vacuum earlier. He gets Ben all cleaned up and feeling better just in time for acquisition of signal. And now it's up to EJ to locate the LEM. But first, he has to turn the command module to give him a better view of the moon's surface. EJ has to fly the thing. Ben can't seem to do it for some reason, even though he's feeling a bit better, and he's guiding EJ's hand all the way. This movie is so bad, but I'd already wasted so much time that there's no use stopping now. Ben is out cold, and EJ's flying the command module on his own. He informs Charlie that Ben is sleeping. He adds that he can't find the LEM in the landing zone. They use NASA file footage of an actual moonwalk with voiceovers of the actors added. EJ sees a flash of light from the moon's surface. He wakes Ben, who tells him to inform Charlie.
Mr. Englehart, would you believe Little Dipper? We found him.
When Ben tells Rick, the captain can't believe it. He says there's no way they landed that far from the landing site, while attempts to verify don't add up either. Could the kid be wrong? Ben asks him to describe the dark side, and the kid goes into a narrative that must have been inspired by one of the writers being on a bum trip. Ben's still too weak to come to the window. On the surface, they find what they feel is a piece of the original lunar crust, the Genesis stone.
Charlie, this is it. This has got to be it. This piece I'm holding looks like pure anorthosite. This has got to be the original crust stuff.
Look at it, huh?
As the LEM ascends back into space, Ben's still a bit woozy. EJ spots the LEM and he notifies Ben. They do a little maneuvering to put them on the right course for a rendezvous. Rick nails the docking. Ben needs EJ to turn a valve.
The valve to repressurize a tunnel is over there.
I know which one.
Something tells me EJ's going to turn the wrong valve. And he does.
EJ, it's the wrong valve. Quick, turn it off.
He's venting oxygen out of the capsule. Ben has enough in his suit, but EJ will surely be a goner. With that valve stuck, the astronauts will remain in their helmets and gloves. They can still pressurize the LEM, so EJ will have to go in there. It'll get cold, as anyone who watched Apollo 13 will remember. As they shove EJ into the LEM, I can't help but think that he must surely regret sneaking aboard now. I was thinking they'd tell him not to touch anything, but the captain tells EJ to monitor the carbon dioxide display. If the yellow light comes on, EJ is to turn a valve. Oh no, not another valve.
How long will I have to stay in here?
Just till we hit the atmosphere. 2.5 days.
2.5 days. I hope they've left some food in there.
Ben, Dave, Rick, don't take off your helmets. You're not going to eat. You're not going to drink. For 2.5 days. Oxygen is going to be your meat and potatoes from this point on. Talk as little as possible. Use every means to conserve your energy.
I was so worried about EJ having food, I never thought that the astronauts wouldn't be able to eat with their helmets on. Charlie Englehart assembles a team of the best experts to solve the problems facing them.
I want the answers to several problems. And if I don't get those answers, well, they may not survive long enough to reach entry interface.
Meanwhile, aboard Camelot, EJ is unaware of a yellow light. His carbon monoxide level is getting too high. He needs to turn the valve. With only one occupant, I would think that the oxygen scrubbers in the LEM would have handled that. If I recall correctly, in Apollo 13 there were 3 of them in the LEM. Since it was designed for 2, I believe that was what led to their oxygen depletion.
I'm awful cold.
He should have thought about that when he decided to stow away on the ship going to outer space. They have to save their oxygen for transfer to the command module when they're closer to home. I'd also remind him that it's his fault that he turned the wrong valve.
Is there enough air in here to last that long?
Well, everyone here on the ground is working on a solution to that. Working very, very hard, working every minute. You understand?
I hope none of those 3 astronauts gets the crazy idea to sacrifice himself to save that kid. Like when the commander did a spacewalk to check the engine on Marooned. Charlie and Tom march into the command center and they take over. When Tom Estes calls Camelot, he tells Rick that Chuck wants to talk to you. Lloyd Bridges' reaction gives me the impression that the name Chuck might have been ad-libbed by Keen Curtis. Charlie Englehart tells Rick to patch EJ in, and he goes through the procedure to bring EJ back into the command module at the very last moment.
Okay, now listen.
They feel that the overpressure in the LEM will flood to the command module with just enough oxygen to get EJ home. They're still about a day and a half out.
Save your strength. Don't talk unless you really have to. And that goes for all of you.
Later, when they're just a few hours out, EJ reports that he's freezing.
I want you to stay awake.
Englehart tells him to hold on just a few more hours, not to fall asleep. Englehart tells him that they're going to throw a great big wingding in Houston when they get back. They're going to fly his parents and Joey in too.
I know, but you can't go to sleep.
But EJ doesn't hear any of that. He's out like a light. Then Ben pipes in.
Charlie, you ain't gonna keep him awake by telling him what a great big hometown hero he's gonna be. You don't know this kid. You gotta leave him to the experts.
Despite his mistake, they all praise EJ for what he did to save them. He did locate the LEM on the moon. Without him, none of them would be coming home. Rick orients the LEM so it will get more sun. To keep him awake, the captain orders EJ to describe what he sees as they approach Earth. Now, either I saw this part before, or his description of an alien entering our solar system might have been borrowed from another source. He notes a funny smell. All that moving around and talking must have used up all his oxygen. He's groggy, but he responds to commands from Captain Lawrence. EJ opens the oxygen valves, and the captain opens the hatch to let him in. But he forgot to bring the moon rocks. Ben goes to retrieve them, and it's on his lap that EJ endures re-entry. Now, we miss out on the party in Houston, but we catch up with the boys hanging with Mr. Averill in the Everglades. EJ notices the moon on the horizon, and he hears the voices in his mind to remind him of his journey into space as the stowaway to the moon. I'm surprised that this ran in prime time. It plays more like an after-school special. In fact, I might have to show it to my 10-year-old granddaughter. I'm a bit confused by one detail. The guy who let EJ sit in the capsule at the visitor center looked a lot like John Carradine, and some things I've checked say he is John Carradine, but EJ calls him by a different name. Then the beekeeper who befriends him and takes them fishing is Mr. Averill, played by John Carradine, and he doesn't work at the visitor center. There are so many people in this film, many of whom aren't mentioned in the complete list of cast members. Walter Brooke and Keen Curtis are both Capcoms. One of those two could have been eliminated, if you ask me. Another opinion? They spent too much time searching for the extra weight. They had numerous opportunities to check that waste bin, and each time it was totally skipped. Then literally no time at all was spent on re-entry. They either ran out of time or money. That could have been just as tense with the kid sitting on Ben's lap. But in the end, I think I'd rather watch The Reluctant Astronaut. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments. You know, there were several ways I wanted to go with this channel. Unfortunately, I don't have the time, energy, or resources to do what I'd originally imagined from the channel, and so many of the videos are being blocked lately, not just for me personally, but for other YouTube reviewers as well. And there's something else that the YouTube community has been noticing. Our videos aren't getting the kind of viewership that we once did. Right now, I'm getting fewer than 100 views on my most recent videos. But in the past, I had regularly enjoyed viewership in the hundreds, sometimes thousands. I want to continue, but I'm not sure if it's really worth posting these reviews if they're only going to get a few dozen views. I may try some newer material, possibly some other genres too. I had so much trouble getting my $6 Million Man video up that I've given up on doing the other 2 pilots for that show. I'm just going to skip those. I'll have to mull this over for a while. I'd ask for suggestions, but with maybe 24 viewers watching it, I might get 1 comment below. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, it might help. Activate the notification bell and join me again as I try to find something exciting for my next episode of Old Joe's Reminiscence.